Hi there, join me in this video and I'm going to take some photographs in the snow. It's not actually that long since I had a walk around and took some photographs in the snow, but it's snowed again and it's been on the ground now for 3 or 4 days, and overnight we've had a very hard frost, so you can see from this oak tree here behind me just how much frost there is, so it could make for some very interesting conditions. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to try and find a few different locations than I visited in my last video. Some of them might be the same because I'm just walking around my local area, because travelling is very tricky. You'll see in a moment how bad the roads are. But whatever happens this morning, I know it's going to be great having a little wander around, and I'm really going to enjoy my photography. This is an indication of just how cold it is this morning. This latch here on this gate is completely frozen shut, so I've had to climb over the top of the gate to get access to this footpath. I've come into some woodland, and what I'm doing is I'm thinking in a very mono way this morning, because there's lots of dark tree trunks covered with snow, so there's a very high contrast between the shadows and the highlights. So I'm looking for interesting shapes created by the dark tree trunks and the white snow on top. Now obviously, being in a woodland, everything is fairly messy and the shapes are going all over the place, but if I see some interesting patterns, those are the ones that I'm going to photograph. What I'd ideally like to do is get across this little stream here on my left to the woodland over there, because I think that might be quite interesting. But there's quite a lot of water at the moment in the stream, so it's going to be difficult to cross, certainly at this point. There's a little bridge a little bit further back, but it's surrounded by a big pool of water, so I couldn't get to it, so that's not an option. So what I'll try and do is make my way through these tangle of branches just here, down the stream, to see if I can cross a little bit further along it. Now, if this is your first time visiting the channel, you can do me a really big favour and click the like, subscribe and the bell notifications, because it really does help me out and it makes sure you don't miss out on any future content. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you spent a moment to click the join button down below, because then that'll take you to a video that will explain all the perks you can get if you become a member, because that's another way of really helping out the channel. Now, because I know the owner of this wood, I also know the places where you can cross the stream, so I've had to come further along to this other little impromptu bridge across the stream so I can get a little bit deeper into the wood. But I'm still finding some of the footing underneath is still very soft, and as soon as I break through the ice on the surface, I can get possibly 6 inches deeper in the mud underneath. I'm really glad that I've come across that little bridge into this bit of woodland, because in here there's lots of areas of standing water that's frozen over and then it's been snowed on over the top, and it makes for really interesting photographs. And I've come across this one just here that is in the shape of a heart. It's really quite adorable and I couldn't resist taking its photograph. So I did a wide shot with all of the woodland in, but I've also dropped the camera down low on the tripod and taken a photograph of this branch that's cutting this little bit of icy water in half, because that's quite interesting in its own right. Now, I don't think I'm going to get any further across this path, because you can see here behind me that there's so much water in the stream that it's broke its banks and it's come across the path just here. But if you look off in the distance, there's a black shape just here, and that's my kingfisher hide. So if you've seen any of my videos from there in the past, we're approaching the pond from behind, and so that is the area where the pond is that I photographed my kingfisher. After a bit of testing, it turns out that the ground here in this wet section where the stream has come across the path is actually still pretty firm underfoot. So I've made my way across and I can get a little bit deeper into the wood. This day just seems to be getting better. The sun has now come out and we've got some blue sky. Now it's still really cold, so there's no danger of any of this snow or ice melting, but as the sun catches the snow and these puddles of water, it's just really enchanting and it makes for a very magical scene. Really, it's very striking the way that these grasses are backlit by the sun. They just stand out against the dark background and make for a lovely photo. I've just spent a little bit of time with these two trees here at the edge of this field. This one particularly nearest to me attracted me to begin with because it was very symmetrical and it's still got lots of white frost on the branches. And so I took an isolated photograph of that, and I've tried it from eye level and then from low down to try and lift the branches up above the skyline. But I did notice there's a little house a little bit further back, and I've tried to include that in some of the compositions. And then this other tree is a little bit more of an interesting shape because it's more gnarly, and at the bottom of it there's a water trough, and I've tried to put the building in the background of that as well. There's a pond just here to my left, and because it's frozen over and the sun is quite low, these trees behind are casting long shadows over the ice and the snow that's on top of it. Plus there's also a tree just down here that's an opposite angle, so it makes for quite an interesting composition. So what I've done is I've done a wide angle view of this and kept the sun in, and then I've focused in on this tree trunk just here that's in the ice and used that as a bit of a focal point. What I'll do now is I'll leave you with some of my favourite photographs from this morning. what a great morning of photography I've had. Now I know I don't do quite as much landscape photography on the channel. I tend to focus a little bit more on birds and wildlife, but I still really do enjoy getting out, taking photographs of the landscape, and on such a morning like this, when I live so close to these woodlands, it's a shame not to get out and make the most of it, and I have really enjoyed myself. Now if you have enjoyed this video, do let me know down below in the comments, or nip over to my Instagram or Vero account, that's at Darrell Oakden Photography. Leave me your comments there, and you can also see lots of my photographs. Now if you like what I do on the channel and you want to help support me to make future content like this, then you can leave the gift shop, that's at Teespring. There I've got a range of merchandise on offer, so head off over there because a purchase really does help me out and it's very much appreciated. Also, don't forget my memberships. Click on the join button down below to see a short video explaining all the tiers that are available and all the perks you can get at each level, and it really does help out the channel. But you don't have to spend out any money at all to support the channel. You can do that simply by clicking the like, subscribe and the bell notifications, because it really helps me out and it makes sure that you don't miss out on any future content. Watch out for next week's video, that goes live on Sunday. In the meantime, go and check out this video just up here. But all that's left now is to say, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.